Am I recording? Hello, it's me again, Chaz, making another video. This one's on the CONMEBOL's match day 8 World Cup qualifiers. Just take a quick look at the group first. There are a few surprising results. Paraguay beating Brazil 1-0 and Argentina losing to Colombia 2-1. Bit of a repeat from the Copa America final. The result for Colombia takes them to second in the table, now just 2 points behind Argentina. Really put themselves in a brilliant position to qualify for the World Cup in 2026, beating the champions Argentina. Paraguay is still in 7th since the beginning of these two games, match day 7 and 8. Still put themselves in 7th, but they're really closing the gap on Venezuela and Brazil, and Ecuador as well, only being a point behind Brazil and Venezuela and 2 points behind Ecuador. Really putting themselves in a good position here. Bolivia, even though they're 8th in the table, 2 wins back to back. Again, just like Paraguay, in a really good position. The same amount of points as Paraguay. A point behind Venezuela and Brazil, 2 points behind Ecuador. Even though Bolivia in 8th and didn't have a best start, this has probably been their week. The past 2 games really was a good international break for Bolivia in this World Cup qualifiers. On the other hand, the team that they did beat, which was Chile 2-1, Bolivia 1. Chile back-to-back defeats. Really not great for them. Still in 9th. 2 points behind Peru. 5 points off automatic World Cup qualification. 4 points off the playoff spot. With Bolivia and Paraguay stepping up as well. It's really not looking good for both Chile and Peru. Venezuela slipped up quite a fair bit. Only got a point in their last 2 games. Losing really badly to Bolivia, but they did manage to get a point against Uruguay. So they're still in a place for automatic qualification to the World Cup. They're still there, but Paraguay and Bolivia are really breathing down the neck. Plus their next game is against Argentina in October, so definitely tough bit of matches for Venezuela. Now Uruguay didn't score in their past 2 games, both 0-0s. So they dropped a spot and now they're 3rd, but again still in a comfortable position to qualify. Still in a good position. Ecuador bounced back after their 1-0 loss to Brazil, beating Peru 1-0. Peru's keeper really good in that game, but that's unfortunate. Ecuador still managed to win that one. Brazil, after beating Ecuador, they lost to Paraguay. So now Ecuador is above Brazil. But Brazil were 6th in the table before match day 7 and 8 started. So they moved up a spot. So did Ecuador. Again, not great for them. And again, Bolivia and Paraguay are still there, but I guess it's a little bit of a progress, a setback, for them as well. Brazil So let's start with these matches. I'm going to start with the Colombia-Argentina game. Now, this is a repeat of the Copa America final. But Colombia was able to win this time, beating Argentina 2-1. This is the first time Argentina has lost a game since losing to Uruguay in the World Cup qualifiers last year in November at home. So yeah, it's a really solid win for Colombia in this one. Rodriguez set up Mosquera for Colombia's first goal. That was in the 25th minute. Early in the second half though, Argentina was able to equalise. Gonzalez with the goal for Argentina. But an hour into the game, Rodriguez got a penalty. Scored the penalty for Colombia, taking it to 2-1. Colombia beating Argentina and now putting themselves second in the table. Comfortable position for a World Cup qualifier. This is first versus second now. Both teams looking like they will qualify. I mean, at this stage, there's still another 10 games to be played, but good win for Colombia. Argentina will bounce back from this. But yeah, both teams looking good. I'm not gonna give Colombia too much credit, or I'm not gonna hype them too much, I should say. But I thought they had a really good Copa America and got unlucky to lose to Argentina in that final. I feel Colombia should do well in the next World Cup. I personally think these two teams, as well as Uruguay, are probably the top teams that could do something in the next World Cup. I really do, at least in this region. I honestly do. I think these three teams and these two teams that play, obviously Argentina, World Cup holders, that they got some people are retiring or looking like they're going to retire soon, like Di Maria's finished with international football, but Messi getting there on, but they still got a lot of young talents coming through Argentina. The same with Colombia. Rodriguez, a brilliant player, and I really do think Colombia, because I honestly feel Colombia's underachieved at World Cups. So I do think this time they'll probably be a bigger threat. We'll see what happens, but honestly, both teams look like they're going to qualify pretty easily. It's a good win for Colombia. Let's move on to the 0-0 between Uruguay and Venezuela. Uruguay are missing 2 players, and also Suarez has retired now. Retired from the last game was his last match, I believe. I think that was the game against Paraguay. That was Suarez's last game. That also finished 0-0. Because of the incident between Uruguay and Colombia during the Copa America, Uruguay are out. I'm sorry, my apologies. 5 players have been suspended, including Darwin Núñez, who scored quite a few goals for Uruguay during the Copa America. So he's suspended. So a lot of key players for them suspended. He's suspended for 5 games. Quite a few suspensions there, which obviously has affected them in their last 2 games, failure to score any goals and that. Again, they managed to keep 2 clean sheets as well. I don't think it would affect them too poorly, considering they were second. I mean, now that they have dropped down to 3rd, but I don't think it should affect them too much. but it's definitely a heavy blow for them. The game did end up 0-0. Like I said, it's a good point for Venezuela, but after not being able to, like I said, Venezuela are the only team in this confederation that has never qualified for a World Cup. These last 2 games, definitely a massive setback for them. Now they're 6th, which is the final spot for an automatic qualification spot. But as I mentioned before, with both Bolivia and Paraguay, really close to them now, Venezuela definitely need to bounce back. As mentioned, Venezuela will be playing Argentina, while Uruguay are playing Peru, who are bottom of the table. So probably a better result, a better fixture for Uruguay than is for Venezuela. Venezuela be going against the top of the table, Argentina, while Uruguay be going against the bottom of the table, Peru. Okay, now the next match was Ecuador and Peru. I watched the game and I thought Peru's keeper was brilliant, made some really good saves in this match. Unfortunately, for Peru, Ecuador was able to get the win here. And to be fair, Peru needed a win. A draw wasn't going to be enough for them either. But, Ecuador got a goal thanks to Valencia. Quality player. He does it again for Ecuador. Good win for Ecuador. Bouncing back from their defeat against Brazil. Even after losing to Brazil, they managed to drop a spot. They managed to go back above Brazil. But both Ecuador and Brazil have moved a spot further. Now Ecuador are in 4th. More misery for Peru on the other hand. Still haven't won a game yet. I'll find it extremely hard to see Peru, qualifying at this point now. And if they do, it won't be an automatic spot. They'll probably get a chance in 7th. Peru's next game, as mentioned, is against Uruguay, who are 3rd. So, yeah, so definitely looking like a tough one for them. Yeah, Ecuador are going to be up against Paraguay at home. Ecuador will be playing. It's going to be an interesting game. Paraguay end up winning that game, and certain results end up going their way in other matches. They could end up being 4th. Tremendously. Ecuador, a win here, again, put them even closer to qualifying for the World Cup. Put them closer to the top, the 3rd, 2nd, and 3rd. So yeah, Ecuador, Paraguay. That's definitely going to be a really interesting game to check out. Paraguay are currently in 7th, as mentioned. Haven't changed their position since the start of match day 7 and 8, but now they're closer, with only a point behind Venezuela and Brazil in 6th and 5th. Brazil is the team that they did beat. Paraguay won their game 1-0 against Brazil. It was a tremendous strike by Gomez in the 20th minute for Paraguay. Really good goal for them. Puts pressure on the other teams above them to get that spot. Paraguay looking to try and qualify for a World Cup. Been a while since they have. The last time was in 2010. So, they really want to get back there. Brazil have never not qualified for a World Cup. This definitely looked like one of their tougher ones. But, they did progress from 1st place from the last time. I guess that's a positive one could take for them. But yeah, Paraguay, as mentioned, their next game is against Ecuador. Could be a massive 6-pointer, that one. Brazil would be going up against Chile away from home. Probably a better time to play Chile for Brazil. So maybe Brazil will go into that game a lot more confident. We'll see. And speaking of Chile, now we talk about the very last game of the World Cup qualifiers. CONMEBOL. This game was between Chile and Bolivia. Chile lost 2-1 at home to Bolivia. Fernandez set up Algarvenaz in the 13th minute for Bolivia to open up the scoring. But in the 39th minute, Chile was able to equalise from a goal from Vargas. But a minute into extra time in the first half, Fernandez assisted again to Cios, taking it to 2-1 for Bolivia. All goals were scored in the very first half. There was no goals scored in the second. Bolivia beating Chile 2-1. They're 8th in the table now, Bolivia, just above Chile, Chile being in 9th. Though they're outside of a position for the World Cup, whether in the playoffs or automatic qualification, they are level on points with Paraguay. Both nations being on 9 points. They're a point behind both Venezuela and Brazil. Brazil and Venezuela being on 10 points, and 2 points behind Ecuador being on 11 points. So at this point, Bolivia in a lot better position now. Chile 9th. I think Chile's definitely got to step up in the next couple of games, and now obviously. But Bolivia, really good change in that. 4 goals against Venezuela, now beating Chile 2-1. Really, really good way to go. I would say both Bolivia and Colombia are probably the 2 biggest winners I would take from this region. Colombia managed to finish match day 8, 2nd in the table. Bolivia, like I said, even though they're not in the qualifying position, they they're level points with Paraguay, and like I mentioned earlier, about not being far from 4th place actually. So yeah, it's very close, a lot close from 4th to 8th at this point. These games could change up. Bolivia up. Oh, they're playing Colombia next. Bolivia at home. Yeah, I'm really excited for the October fixtures actually. Let's have a quick look at those now. So Thursday the 10th of October, Bolivia will be going up against Colombia. And then Ecuador will be taking on Paraguay. So with Bolivia and Colombia, you've got 2nd versus 8th. Really, really good game that's going to be. Ecuador and Paraguay, I mentioned earlier. That's 4th versus 7th. Some real changes could happen in those 2 games. And alright. Then Friday, the 11th of October, Venezuela will take on Argentina. And that's 1st versus 6th. Chile will take on Brazil. 5th versus 9th. And Peru will take on Uruguay. 10th versus 3rd. Yeah, these yeah, a lot of changes could actually happen during that phase, at least match day 9. Yeah, this should be quite exciting. Match day 9 next month. Just take one quick check of the matches that will take place on the 15th and the 16th. Those will be match day 10. Sorry, okay. Yeah. So at the end of match day 8, Argentina still top of the table. Colombia moved 1 place forward. Now they're second, after beating Argentina. Uruguay, their 2 goalless draws, they dropped down to 3rd. Ecuador, though they did lose to Brazil, they bounced back and beat Chile. They move us 1 place forward above, sorry. Now they're 4th. Brazil, again, they beat Ecuador but lost to Paraguay, though they do move us a space up. So now they're 5th. Venezuela dropped 2 spots from 4th to 6th after picking up a point in their last 2 games. Paraguay, no changes from where they started off, but are now closer to Venezuela and Brazil after getting 4 points from their past 2 games, one of them beating Brazil. Bolivia, again, no changes from them from where match day 7th started, but again they're now closer to Paraguay after winning their last 2 games against Venezuela and Chile. No changes for Chile after losing 2 games back to back against Argentina and Bolivia. And Peru, though they managed to pick up a point, they failed to win a game, which still keeps them 10th in the table. So no changes for them. Alright, this was the CONMEBOL's match day 7-8 completion of the World Cup qualifiers. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it, and bye.